I now call upon Raukura Kahukiwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a young Māori woman, I am disappointed to witness a system which continues to fail vulnerable youth living in emergency housing. Through the relationship I've made with my MP and the various connections I've made with social services within my community, we've been able to have serious conversations on what the future of emergency housing looks like in Rotorua. And to be honest, it's difficult to articulate my worry. To begin, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has applied to the Rotorua Lakes Council for 12 resource consents to use various sites and existing buildings within those sites for contracted emergency housing with a term of 5 years. The Lakes Council has asked the public for submissions on whether or not they agree that emergency housing should continue to exist in Rotorua, and I urge my community to support this. I'm concerned that without emergency housing, 300 families, 90% of which are Māori, will be thrown out onto the streets. They'll be living in their cars again. They'll be living in unlivable garages, meaning a lack of basic access to food, electricity and water. The major impact this will have on the children and rangatahi associated brings Article 27 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child to the forefront of my mind. The said article requires that government takes appropriate measures to assist parents and others responsible for the child to implement the right to an adequate standard of living and, in case of need to, provide material assistance and support programs, particularly with regard to nutrition, clothing and housing. As youth representative, I would like to make my position on this very clear. I believe that every single child deserves to have somewhere safe to sleep at night and to have food on the table. And while I support the continued existence of emergency housing, there is still significant reform needed within this space. I encourage our elected officials, both at a government and local level, to do better. The barriers to get emergency housing underway by the government must be removed at a local level by councils. There are still children who aren't attending school. There are children who break into cars and go dumpster diving out of boredom. They're subjected to poor living conditions, stigmatised, and are disadvantaged in almost every aspect of their lives. How are our whānau expected to break the cycle of dysfunction and escape poverty without better wraparound support systems in place? I'd like to finish my kōrero off with this whakatauki. Ki mai koe ki au, he aha te mea nui tēnei ao, mā koe ki atu, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. Kia ora.
I now call upon Miriama